Sorry about the long description about myself. And actually, this is highly relevant to what I'm going to share today about how, not just for any designer, actually for anyone who is looking for job searching right now, how we can actually leverage some of the strategy I will share next to help you to find land it on your next job that you really want. So, hi again, I'm Olivia, and as you probably can kind of catch some of the keywords that in from intro, in the past 4 or 5 years, I have a course of different startup experience, various of the sizes and the industry, and a lot of people ask me like, oh, how can you just jump from like, for instance, like a consumer banking app like selling to an enterprise global trade to whatever logistic kind of platform, like how do you make that connection and make the dots? And this is what exactly I'm going to talk to you about. And unfortunately, this also I went through that personally this year in January. So I got a sudden layoff, and the situation I faced because of the some of the visa situation that I have to really quickly figure out. So this has ended up I landed at my current job within 2 months. Also, leveraging the strategy and process I will introduce next. So with this talk, I'm going to introduce the process is called design thinking. I am sure a lot of people, especially in tech, are pretty familiar with this. But how do you actually apply this in terms of a job searching progress is something we'll be interested. And after all of that, I will want to share some personal perspective in terms of if you unfortunately have to go through the layoff process and have a stressful timeline, how do you manage the burnout, and some tips that really can help you to go through this process. So next, I'm going to introduce this amazing problem-solving process called design thinking again. So it's a 5-step process. And basically, I would say not only I use it every day in my work, and also I use it on my daily life as well. So for anything small and big, you really can just start it from understanding, okay, what is the goal here? Like, what do I really want to achieve? And next up, rather than jumping to solution right away, you wanted to understand, okay, what is the problem here? I can't get it. And trying to understand much of the context and constraints and everything. And then you can start being really creative, saying like, oh, with all of the resources I have, with all the tools I can access, what are some of the way I can potentially try to get my goal? And then with a bunch of the lists, and then you can just try out and test. So if you're an engineer, a more, I guess, like a more familiar kind of way to think it is like whenever you are writing a code snippet, you're definitely gonna test it and then get the compile results so that you will know what to try next. So it's basically like that. And in terms of for a real job searching process, first up, you want to understand, okay, what's your job searching goal? So the key message I want to emphasize here, the job searching is not a one-way problem. So it's actually like a two-way communication, which is the match and fit process. So when you're evaluating, you're being evaluating as a candidate, you are also need to evaluating the other party as a company. So it's important to understand what do you really want as a job seeker, and then think about what you can offer to actually really stand out from other candidates. And with that in mind, you can set a goal. Remember, like we need to understand the goal first. So you can make a list of the next job you want to land it on. For instance, I wanted to go smaller or bigger companies, specific industry you're interested in, team culture, the management style, so on. Everyone has a different priority list in this goal list, and you can always adjust as you go through this looping process and evaluate as you go in the job searching process. And next step is actually to think about, okay, this is what you want and what I can offer. So this is not just simply listed every single thing you have ever done in the resume, but really, really think through what that experience mean in terms of the skill set. So you can quickly match that up to any job description you're seeing on the job posting. So that will make the hiring manager easily to understand why you are a good fit. So talk about my own experience, because I have an engineering background before, when I searching for the new grad first design role ever. So I need to tell a really good story in terms of how my engineering background will actually help me design. So I highlighted a strong logical thinking skills and my capabilities of communicate really effectively with other engineers because of my background. So similarly, when I'm looking for the other job in enterprise space with no experience in designing for platforms and so on, a really complex domain, I actually highlighted my startup experience and how I deal with all of the ambiguity in such a small team, so that to show the potential I can deal with unknown spaces, even though this is a really complex and unknown space I have never worked in the past. Next up is to define. So we talk about your needs and also like what you can offer. Next step is to reality check, really, to understand what is the job market really like. So this is an example that I use personally to evaluate myself as a designer. And this is actually coming from one of the company I really, really like. They really being transparent and show this metric of skill metric on their website and show, oh, this is what we use to evaluate everyone in the team, and we're looking for someone who can compensate all of the skill sets to this team. So I do this to myself to evaluate how good match I am in terms of to the team, if I really, really like to join that team. And next up is you can do another exercise is to make another list that there are some of my strong suit of the skills and also some of the skills I want to develop, and also what is your career interest and things you want to try out next. And the more you can find the match in this inner cycle between you and the target job post, the better fit for both of you, of course. So this is a good exercise you can keep evaluating and iterating. So from step 3 to step 5 is really a kind of a loop. So you need to constantly adjust and then take that feedback and then tweak it a little bit and try the other thing throughout the entire process. And it works through the entire job searching funnel as well. So I can give you some example from really beginning. For first job, you're just starting to say, hey, I wanted to land an internship or a new grad job or my next role in a certain timeline. And you needed to kind of plan it backward to say, okay, I initially think maybe I need a couple 2 weeks for my portfolio, my resume, and then sometimes for technical, and then sometimes to prepare behavior. So you have that rough timeline. So you can ideate in terms of what are some way I can be creative to plan that and evaluate that. And then later on, when you put into practice to build all of the things, you will know the gap between what you thought you could do and versus the reality, right? So in recording your process, you can like come back and then tweak it and then to make a more realistic timeline for yourself. And same thing apply when you get stuck in a particular interview round. You can do that too. For saying, oh, I have my draft and then I start standing out a lot of application, but why I'm not getting any screening calls? So you might want to think of, okay, there are some other things I probably can try other than direct applications. I might also want it to be really active on the social media, LinkedIn, and then share about your experience, your skills to catch more potential hiring managers' eyes. And when you're doing a referral, is that some unique message you can help to try and send it out? And also linking outreach, what are some different message you can play around that will help you to get more feedback, or some private talent pool that you can join and reach out to those VC funds, talent pool share across the portfolio of the companies. So those are some of the creative way that can get you more exposure. I'm just making example here. And of course, you can use the result of, are you getting more calls and what is the feedback for the outreach to evaluate how effective different things you have tried. And the other example Similar to the last one is, for example, you are getting stuck with the technical interview, and other than just waiting for the next opportunity, of course, you can try. I can probably just record my own session if no one's practicing with me. You will be amazed by how many things you can cut that you got stuck just by recording yourself. And also, you can help others to prepare interviews and then learn from how other people's are response, anything they can improve, and then reflect upon on yourself as well. And of course, and then depends on the actual interview and even mock interview feedback, you can quickly kind of iterate on what I can improve next. And along this way, actually, because AI tools are so like blooming right now, I remember when I got laid off personally, almost a year ago. I'm basically still using the old methods of writing everything on pen and paper and putting all together things in the Figma tool, which is the really popular tool designer all use, and of course a lot of documentation and all of that. But today, really, with ChatGPT and a lot of other AI tools that can help you mock interview, I would not say they replace your own role as a job seeker to make your own material, but they can really help you quickly to put up the first draft so you don't get stuck in a kind of a blank canvas really struggle, I would say. But at the bottom line here, job searching problem is still finding the right match. This tool doesn't change the fact that this is the problem you're going to solve. And lastly, I want to kind of share some of my personal notes. And this is more kind of call back to early on when I'm saying I have some visa sponsorship needs and also with a tight timeline. So I would say transparency really goes a long way. And I personally learned a hard lesson. So if you ever invest in particular situation where you have a clear bottom line about I need specific support, I really can't go on site every day, and I have a compensation bar or whatever thing, or you in a really later stage interview, you need a deadline and then close it very fast and so on. Really be transparent in the first call with HR, because if you are being transparent, then they can help you the best as they could, and also it saves both of you time. It's much way better than you are at a later stage offer stage and then figure out there's something you can agree on in the very beginning, but you already both spend that much time to get through everything. So that will be a really sad and unfortunate situation. And next up is, of course, talking about burnout. And I also personally have that as well. And you probably often hear about people saying, how can you give feedback, give constructive feedback? And thinking the other way around, right? How you can take feedback constructively. So what that means is, for saying you failed the interview today, of course, you will feel sad. Everyone will. No one will like the feeling like, oh, I just failed, right? But you can take a while and accept the fact that I'm really sad, acknowledge that I didn't do well today. But okay, like what have I learned? So is that because I'm not prepared enough so that I will know I learned from today's lesson that I needed to spend more time prepping certain problems before going to a next interview, or I shouldn't probably rush to plan to schedule that interview that early if I'm not prepared, because it's wasting both of our time as well. But if really the feedback that the other party give you is, oh, we are really looking for the candidate that have specific skills or experience that you wouldn't be able possibly get in such a short time, that is not a good match. Or if they just tell you, sorry, we just filled it with another candidate up front, that again is not your fault. So you really need to understand what is actually the reason behind it, and then turn it to a really actionable item for you to move on. And you really use every failure as a stepping stone for your next interview and eventually get you to success. So to close that note here, I talk about how you can use design thinking, which means you can think like a designer even you're not, to trying to problem solve every single little thing during your job searching process, to really customize that to your own goals and needs. And also for tips here is really trying to be smart, leveraging a lot of tools to help you get started faster, so you don't have reason or excuse anymore to procrastinate. Also, I talk about how you should be really transparent with the hiring managers so that both party can move on really smoothly. And lastly, how to take the failure and feedback constructively, so you can always take away and learn about from every single interviews that you have, so you can perform better and know yourself better next time. And this is all my session today. So I know we don't have time for Q&A session, but if you do have any follow-up question for me, you want to chat with me more, feel free to contact me here with my contact info. But with that, thank you everyone for attending my session. Really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olivia. Thanks to everybody for attending, and we will see you in the next session.